I wanted to show you how to calculate a few different values using Excel. I'm using Excel 2010 on a PC, so Excel might work a little bit differently on your computer, especially if you're using an Apple computer. But I think Excel 2010 and Excel 2013 for PCs work pretty much the same way. So I'm going to calculate some of the values that we've been calculating together. I'll show you how to do this. So here's a made up data set showing the heights, the number of siblings, and the incomes of 3 people. If I wanted to calculate the average or the mean of each column, I could do this. I just need to go to formulas at the top, and then I need to go to more functions, and then I need to go to statistical, and then I click on average. Excel calls the mean average, but mean and average are the same thing. So, well, before I do this, I have to have a box highlighted for the average to go into, and you can see that I already do have an empty box highlighted for it to go into. So I click on average, and then I highlight the 3 numbers in this column, and it should say B2 colon B4. That means that it's going to calculate the average of the 3 numbers going from B2 down to B4. And then I click on OK, and it puts the average in there. And then if I hover the mouse above the bottom right corner right here, and I click, I can drag this across, and it'll actually calculate the average of all 3 columns. So this is the mean. This is showing the mean or the average of all 3 columns. If I wanted the median, I could go to the same place up here. I just go to more functions, and then statistical. This time I go down to median, and I highlight the cells that I want to calculate the median of, which is B2 to B4. And then I click on OK, and it puts the median in here. Now if I click on the bottom right corner and drag it across, it'll do the same thing. It'll calculate the median of all 3 columns. Now what if I wanted the mean absolute deviation, or the MAD, of these 3 columns? I could go up here to more functions, go to statistical again, and this time I click on AV, DEV, AVE, DEV. This is short for average deviation. So Excel calls the mean absolute deviation the average deviation. So I just highlight the cells that I want to calculate the MAD of, B2 to B4. I click on OK, and it puts it in there. Then I can click on the bottom right corner and drag it across, and it calculates the MAD of all 3 columns. What if I wanted the variance of all 3 columns? Well, I could go to the same place, go to more function, formulas, more functions, statistical, go to variance. These are all in alphabetical order. Notice how Excel has 2 different variances right here, var.p and var.s. This is for population, and this is for sample. This one doesn't divide by n-1, and this one does divide by n-1. Let's say that I collected data from a sample, so I want to calculate the sample variance with n-1 in the formula. I click on var.s and highlight the 3 data values. I have to make sure I don't highlight these values because this isn't part of the data set. These are values that I've already calculated. Then I click on OK, and it puts the variance in here for these 3, the variance of these 3 heights. Then I can drag it across, and it'll calculate the variance of all 3 columns. Now what if I want the standard deviation of these 3 columns? Well, I can just go to more go to Formulas, More Functions, Statistical, and I have to go down to STDEV, and it has one for population and one for sample. I've collected data from a sample, so I would choose sample standard deviation. Highlight the 3 data values in the column and click OK. It'll calculate the standard deviation of these 3 heights. And then if I drag it across, it automatically calculates the standard deviation of the 3 siblings right here, and the standard deviation of the 3 incomes right here. It can also calculate skewness and kurtosis. So if I go to Formulas, More Functions, Statistical, skewness is skew. So I go to skew, highlight the 3 values in the column, and it'll calculate the skewness of those 3 values. And if I drag it across, it calculates the skewness of each of all 3 columns, of this column and that column also. If I want kurtosis, I go to Kurt. That's short for kurtosis in Excel. K-U-R-T. And it'll calculate the kurtosis of the 3 heights. It says that it can't calculate it, and I'm not sure why. Maybe I'll try it one more time. So I'm not sure why it can't calculate it, but it should be able to calculate it. I just wanted to do this demonstration with you to show you how these values can be calculated in Excel. I wanted to show you that if you know the code word of the value that you want to calculate, you actually don't have to go to More Functions and look up the value. You can just type in the code word right into Excel. I'll show you an example. Let's say I want to calculate the mean of each column. What I could do is just type in an equal sign. I always have to start with the equal sign right here, and then type in the word average, and then type in a left parentheses, and then I can either highlight the 3 heights like I did before, or I can just type in capital B2 colon capital B4, and then put a right parentheses at the end. And now Excel will know to calculate the average of those 3 heights. And now I press enter, and I get the average or the mean of these 3 heights. And then if I put the mouse on the bottom right corner and I drag this across, it'll calculate the mean of the siblings column and the mean of the income column. I can do the same thing for the median. I just start right here. I type in an equal sign to start off, and then I type in the word median, and then put a left parentheses, and then I can type in capital B2 colon capital B4, and then put a right parentheses, and then when I press enter, it'll calculate the median of those 3 heights. And then if I put the mouse on the bottom right corner right here and drag it across, it'll calculate the median of the siblings column and the median of the income column. If I want the MAD, or the mean absolute deviation, I could start right here, and I have to type in an equal sign like always, and then I need to type in AVE.DEV, because that's what Excel calls the mean absolute deviation. That's the code word Excel uses for the MAD. And you might see that when you type this in, you'll see this appearing right here. Excel is trying to help you out. It's trying to tell you what code word you're looking for. If I click down here, it'll just put it in there automatically for me. Now I need to type in the left parentheses, type in capital B2 colon capital B4, and it'll highlight those 3 cells. Then I type in the right parentheses and press enter, and it gives me the MAD of these 3 heights. And then just like before, I can drag this across, and it'll give me the MAD of the siblings column and the MAD of the income column. One last point I wanted to make is that the incomes have a lot of dispersion in this data set because they're 20,000, 70,000, and 90,000. So the MAD, variance, and standard deviation all came out to big numbers. And the heights, these 3 heights, aren't very spread out. They're pretty close together, which is why the MAD, variance, and standard deviation came out to smaller numbers. Also, the numbers of siblings are pretty close together, so the MAD, variance, and standard deviation of this column also came out to pretty small numbers.